I'm Melissa. Standing on the deck of my mountain cabin now, I watch the aspen trees turn gold in the afternoon light, with its solar panels glistening. The property has been appraised at $730,000, $15,000 more than what my father, Henry, tried to sell it for. It's been a long and arduous journey to get here, and it all started on that fateful Tuesday morning. I remember sitting across from Henry at the kitchen table. Mom, whose name is Carol, was making pancakes, and my sister, Lily, was on her laptop. Henry, a proud but over-ambitious man who had always seen himself as the family's financial pillar, casually announced that the mountain cabin sale would close on Friday. Got $680,000 for it. Finally getting rid of that pesky business debt, he said, buttering his toast. That cabin was my pride and joy. I'd bought it 7 years ago for $340,000 and spent 3 summers renovating it myself, putting in new windows, updating the electrical system, and adding a beautiful porch. It was a successful vacation rental, bringing in a good income during peak seasons. And yet, Henry had always dismissed it as Melissa's little fun project. I put down my coffee and told him firmly, "Henry, you can't sell my cabin. It's in my name, and I never gave you permission." He just waved me off, saying, "You're overreacting. I've got everything sorted with the title company. It's all legal, power of attorney, and all that." I quickly called the property management company, and they confirmed that there had been showings all week, and the buyers had done a final walk through the day before. Just then, at 9:15 a.m., my phone rang. It was Mark Thompson, a county recorder. I'd once rented an apartment to him when he was saving for a house and gave him a break on the security deposit. He said, "Melissa, someone just tried to record a deed transfer on your cabin. The signature doesn't match the one on file. I'm flagging it as potential fraud." I was relieved and asked him to hold the filing. He'd already sent notices to the title company and the buyer's attorney. Henry's face turned pale. Lily looked up from her laptop, and Carol stopped flipping pancakes. I immediately called my attorney, Grace Miller. By noon, she'd managed to halt the Friday closing. That afternoon, as I sat in Grace's office surrounded by the forged documents, I started to reflect on all the times Henry had undermined my achievements. He'd always been a man who couldn't stand to see me succeed independently. At family gatherings, he'd talk about his failed tech startup while brushing off my cabin as a mere hobby. When I mentioned the cabin's annual income of $48,000 at Thanksgiving 2 years ago, he changed the subject within seconds, and Carol just said, "That's nice, dear," in a patronizing tone. Grace and I then began a meticulous process to prove my ownership. First, we gathered evidence. The original deed from 2017 showing me as the sole owner, property tax records paid from my account, insurance policies in my name, and 7 years of rental income tax returns. Next, we hired Dr. Emily Davis, a forensic document examiner. Her report was damning. The power of attorney Henry submitted had a 97% probability of forgery, with inconsistent stroke velocities and digitally manipulated notary seals. Mark also conducted his own investigation and found that Henry had used the information of an old notary, Mrs. Linda Green, who'd notarized his business documents before. Linda confirmed she'd never notarized any power of attorney for me. The title company, after their review, informed the buyers, a couple named Ryan and Sophie Clark, that they couldn't proceed with the transaction. Grace negotiated on the Clarks' behalf, and Henry was given 30 days to return their earnest money and expenses, or face civil litigation. The County Fraud Division opened an investigation. Detective Tom Harris subpoenaed Henry's bank records, found text messages with his business partner about making the documents look real, and interviewed Linda. Henry hired an attorney, Paul Reed, who tried to argue that I'd given verbal permission and that the sale was for the family's good. He presented family photos at the cabin and texts where I'd said Henry could use it. But Grace systematically dismantled each claim with solid evidence, like an email where I'd clearly refused to sell the cabin. The district attorney filed charges against Henry for forgery, theft by deception, and attempted theft of property worth over $500,000. He was arrested at home. During the trial, which lasted 8 days, the evidence against him was overwhelming. The jury found him guilty on all counts, and he was sentenced to 3 years in prison, 6 years of supervised probation, and ordered to pay $186,900 in restitution. Henry filed an appeal, claiming ineffective counsel and judicial bias, but the appellate court quickly denied it, citing the overwhelming evidence of fraud and his lack of understanding of property rights. The consequences for Henry were far-reaching. His consulting business collapsed overnight, his professional reputation was in ruins, and he had to report to prison. Financially, he and Carol lost their house due to unpaid legal fees and mortgage payments. They had to move into a small apartment in a neighborhood Henry had once scorned. Lily initially sided with Henry, sending me angry texts about family loyalty. But 3 months later, she called me, crying, saying Henry had tried to add her name to a business account without permission. She finally understood. Carol tried to contact me, but I set up a restraining order. Now, as I look out of my cabin, I know that it's not just about the money or the property. It's about standing up for myself, setting boundaries, and realizing that kindness can create a network of protection when family fails. I've also started a women's real estate investment group, which has grown to 32 members and acquired 14 properties in a year. The group that Henry once dismissed is now building real wealth. The cabin is mine, legally and undeniably, and from this fortress I've built and protected, my future truly begins.